I'm Ruby Uniyal, Head, Department of Psychology, KTHM College, Nasik. In today's video, we are going to study some of the approaches to counseling and helping. Friends, in our last video, we have seen some of the definitions of counseling and we have also studied the stages of the counseling process in detail. Today, let us see some of the approaches to counseling and helping. A counselor's approach is a reflection of his or her training and coaching philosophy. For example, a person trained in behaviorism will view a client's behavior as a function of reward and punishment systems. The behavioral counselor will primarily focus on how behavior is impacted by environmental factors as opposed to thoughts or unconscious motivations. Counseling approaches and counseling styles also are differentiated by how therapists interact with the clients. For example, client-centered counselors tend to focus on a client's innate goodness and to use a non-directive style of interaction. Generally speaking, counseling approaches are guided by theory and research, both of which inform the method of practice. Fortunately, almost all the many individual theoretical models of counseling fall into one or more of the six major theoretical categories which we are going to see today. The six major approaches that we will be looking today are humanistic approach, cognitive approach, behavioral approach, psychoanalytic approach, constructionist approach, and systemic approach. First, let us have a look at the humanistic approach. Humanistic counseling theories hold that people have within themselves all the resources they need to live healthy and functioning lives, and that problems occur as a result of restricted or unavailable problem solving resources. Humanistic counselors see their role not as one of directing clients in how to address their problems, but rather as one of helping clients to discover and access within themselves the restricted resources they need to solve problems on their own. Some currently preferred humanistic counseling therapies include person-centered, existential, emotional focused, gestalt, and positive psychology. Humanistic counseling is based on the assumption that individuals already possess the qualities needed to flourish. This approach encourages curiosity, intuition, creativity, humility, empathy, and altruism. Humanistic counseling was first developed by Carl Rogers, who later founded client centered therapy, which is a humanistic counseling style that helps clients reach their full potential as human beings. The client centered therapy promotes a safe climate in which the therapist is both empathetic and non judgmental. In this way, the client experiences a sense of acceptance, openness, and unconditional positive regard. These ideas are beautifully articulated by Rogers, who noted that people are just as wonderful as sunsets if you let them be. When I look at a sunset, I don't find myself saying, soften the orange a bit on the right hand corner. I don't try to control a sunset. I watch with awe as it unfolds. Carl's words also convey the importance of allowing the client to make his or her own discoveries rather than providing a lot of therapist direction. Therefore, with a client centered counselor, the client usually does most of the talking. The therapist's role is to guide clients in an accepting way, helping them to see the beauty within themselves. Now, next is cognitive approach. Cognitive counseling theories hold that people experience psychological and emotional difficulties when their thinking is out of sync with reality. When this distorted or faulty thinking is applied to problem solving, the result understandably leads to faulty solutions. Cognitive counselors work to challenge their clients' faulty thinking patterns so that clients are able to derive solutions that accurately address the problems they are experiencing. Currently preferred cognitive theory-based therapies include cognitive behavior therapy, which is commonly called as CBT, reality therapy, motivational interviewing, and acceptance and commitment therapy. The cognitive behavior therapy, that is CBT, is grounded in the assumption that emotional disorders are maintained by cognitive factors and that psychological treatment leads to changes in these factors through cognitive and behavioral techniques. In other words, by combining both, that is, cognitive and behavioral approaches, the CBT is focused on how thoughts and behaviors dictate a person's feelings in a given situation. The following principles guide cognitive behavioral therapy. The principles are: mental health disorders involve key learning and information processing mechanisms. Then behaviors are better understood by exploring their true functions. New adaptive learning experiences can be used to substitute prior non-adaptive learning processes. And therapists use a scientific approach to therapy by creating hypotheses about patients' cognitive and behavioral patterns by intervening and observing outcomes and by reframing original hypotheses as needed. A variety of different techniques and components may be included in CBT therapy, such as exposure, social skills training, cognitive restructuring, problem solving training, journaling, and relaxation training are some of the others. Now, after the humanistic and cognitive approach, let us have a look at what behavioral approach has to say. Now, behavioral counseling theories hold that people engage in problematic thinking and behavior when their environment supports it. When an environment reinforces or encourages these problems, they will continue to occur. Behavioral counselors work to help clients identify the reinforcements that are supporting problematic patterns of thinking and acting and replacing them with alternative reinforcements for more desirable patterns. Currently, the preferred therapies based on behavior theory include behavior therapy, dialectical behavior therapy, multimodal therapy, and conjoined sex therapy. The next approach is psychoanalytic approach. Psychoanalytic counseling theories hold that psychological problems result from the present day influence of unconscious psychological drives or motivations stemming from past relationships and experiences. Dysfunctional thought and behavior patterns from the past have become unconscious or working models that guide clients towards continued dysfunctional thought and behavior in their present lives. Psychoanalytic counselors strive to help their clients become aware of these unconscious working models so that their negative influence can be understood and addressed. Some currently preferred therapies grounded in psychoanalytic theory include psychoanalysis, attachment therapy, object relations therapy, and Adlerian therapy. Psychodynamic counseling is probably the most well-known counseling approach. Rooted in Freudian theory, this type of counseling involves building strong therapist-patient alliances. That is, the client and counselor relationship should be developed and it should be a strong relationship based on trust and respect. The goal is to aid clients in developing the psychological tools needed to deal with complicated feelings and situations. Freud also was concerned with the impact of early experiences and unconscious drives on behavior. This focus is evident in the following quote. The conscious mind may be compared to a fountain playing in the sun and falling back into the great subterranean pool of subconscious from which it rises. Sigmund Freud has given this quote. Some of the ways in which these drives are uncovered include dream interpretations, projective techniques, hypnotism, and free association. Historically, psychodynamic therapy was a lengthy process, but nowadays it also is applied as a relatively short-term approach. Research has indicated effectiveness for both long and short-term psychodynamic treatment for the treatment of various psychiatric issues. The next approach is constructionist. Constructionist counseling theories hold that knowledge is merely an invented or constructed understanding of actual events in the world. While actual events in the world can trigger people's meaning making processes, it is those meaning making processes rather than the events themselves that determine how people think, feel, and behave. Constructionist counselors work collaboratively with clients to examine and revise problematic client constructions of self, relationships, and the world. Some currently preferred constructionist theory-based therapy models include solution-focused brief therapy, narrative therapy, feminist therapy, Ericksonian therapy, and identity renegotiation counseling. Constructionist therapy is concerned with the meanings humans construct regarding the world around them. Within this framework, qualities believed to be related to gender, race, and social class is shaped by cultural influences and human interpretations. Constructionist therapy is thus concerned with power imbalances as well as the importance of language. More specifically, language is considered the avenue through which individuals create meaning about themselves and others. So, language is viewed as constructive, involving various aspects of communication. For example, questions, reflections, and interpretations, along with the invitation for clients to develop specific constructions of their identities, problems, and relationships. It is a client driven process in which the client actively participates in discussions as to their problematic perceptions and constructions. The next approach is systemic. Systemic counseling theories hold that thinking, feeling, and behavior are largely shaped by pressures exerted on people by the social system within which they live. Accordingly, individual thinking, feeling, and behavior are best understood when examined in relationship to the role they play within a person's family or other important social networks. Systemically focused counselors work to revise social network dynamics and influence a client's undesirable thoughts, feelings, and behaviors. Some currently preferred therapies drawing from systemic theory include structural family therapy, strategic family therapy, human validation process family therapy, and Gottman method couples therapy. Now, systemic therapy underscores the influence of how patterns across systems, that is, family, school, and employment, influence behaviors and psychological issues. A systemic approach, therefore, does not aim to treat a problem so much as the system underlying it. For example, systemic therapy is often used for family counseling as it enables the identification of dysfunctional patterns of communication and other behaviors across family members. Family involvement, which may be cross generational, entails having family members work with the therapist to develop healthier roles, interactions, and dynamics. Now, we have just seen the six major approaches to counseling and helping. Now, during their initial training, counselors are typically introduced to a variety of currently preferred counseling models, falling under each of the six main theoretical categories. From there, The counselor's task is to determine through continued training and experience which model best fits their personal view of human function and change. Then their preferred style of communication. And lastly, the need of the client population they are currently working with and or the client population they plan to work in the future. So most counselors will find that some therapy models are a particularly good fit while others may not be a good fit at all. Consequently, they are most likely to apply those models in counseling practice that fall within their comfort or competency zone and avoid those that do not. When confronted with client the situations that fall outside of their zone of comfort or competency, counselors must decide between working to expand their comfort or competency zone to include alternative models more appropriate to the client's needs or referring the client to another counselor who is more comfortable and competent in the needed alternative models. In our next lecture, we will be studying more about the helping relationship and the helping process. I hope all of you are watching these videos carefully. So kindly make running notes while you are watching the videos, and also I have shared number of PDF files with you with regards to our syllabus on Google Classroom. So together with these videos and those PDF files, you should be able to make your own notes. Thanks a lot for watching the video and enjoy the learning process.